What if the thing that is aging you fastest is something you cannot see, cannot feel, and have never been told to look for? I am Dr. Leo Vitas, and this is XENOVITAS, where we explore longevity, anti-aging, and biohacking. Right now, your body might look and feel normal. You go to work, you do your tasks, you sleep, more or less. But inside, there can be a small, quiet fire burning that slowly ages your heart, your joints, your brain, and even your skin. You do not see it in the mirror. You do not feel a sharp pain. You might even think, this is just what getting older feels like. But this slow fire, a state of low-grade inflammation, is one of the reasons two people of the same age can have completely different futures. Today we are going to talk about that invisible fire, how it starts, how it changes your aging, and what you can realistically do to turn the temperature down without chasing magic cures. Why inflammation exists at all. Inflammation is not an error in your design. It is one of the reasons you are still alive. When you cut your skin, when you catch a virus, or when you twist a joint, your body sends cells and chemical messengers to the area. Blood flow increases. The zone may become red, warm, swollen, and painful. This is acute inflammation. In that moment, your immune system is cleaning up damaged tissue, fighting invaders, and starting the repair process. Without this response, even small injuries and infections would become dangerous very quickly. So the goal is not to remove inflammation from your life. The goal is to let it act like an emergency team that comes in, does its job, and then goes home. The trouble begins when the team never fully leaves, when help becomes harm. Chronic inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation is very different from the sharp reaction you see after a cut or a sprain. Instead of a strong, short response that fades, chronic inflammation is a quiet signal that stays on in the background. The immune system is not in crisis, but it is also not fully at rest. It is slightly activated, day after day. You might not feel this as a clear pain. You might not notice anything dramatic at first. But over time, this constant background noise can irritate tissues, interfere with normal repair, and contribute to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, joint problems, and some forms of cognitive decline. When this low-level inflammation mixes with the natural processes of aging, scientists sometimes use the word inflammaging. It is not a separate disease. It is a pattern in how the body is handling stress and damage across the years.
How the silent fire damages tissues. What does this slow fire actually do inside you? In blood vessels, it can irritate the delicate inner lining, making it easier for cholesterol and other particles to stick and form plaques. This affects how flexible and open your arteries stay as you age. In the brain, chronic inflammation can change how cells communicate and how waste products are cleaned up. Over many years, this may influence memory, mood, and the risk of certain brain diseases. In joints, low-grade inflammation can gradually damage cartilage and surrounding structures, leading to stiffness and pain. In the skin, it can speed up the breakdown of collagen and elastic fibers, which affects firmness and texture. At the level of individual cells, chronic inflammation increases oxidative stress and disrupts normal signaling. The result is more wear and tear and less efficient repair. This is one of the pathways through which your biological age can drift away from your calendar age. Where the fire starts. Common sources. Where does this background fire come from? One major source is food. Diets high in ultra-processed products, added sugars and unhealthy fats, and low in real fiber, tend to push metabolism and the immune system toward a more inflamed state. Excess body fat, especially around the abdomen, is not passive storage. It behaves like an active organ that releases inflammatory signals. Lack of movement also plays a role. Muscles that are rarely used send different messages than muscles that contract and relax most days of the week. When we sit for long periods and move very little, we remove one of the natural tools the body uses to regulate inflammation. Poor sleep especially when it is short or irregular over months and years, changes how hormones and immune cells behave. Chronic psychological stress, when you feel under pressure all the time but never fully recover, can also keep the alarm system partially on. Smoking, heavy alcohol use, some chronic infections, and environmental pollution add more fuel. No single factor explains everything, but together they create conditions where the fire never fully goes out. Your gut as an inflammation switch. Your gut is not just a simple tube where food passes through, it is one of the largest contact surfaces between the outside world and your inner systems. The lining of your intestine is very thin. On one side there is food, bacteria, and other particles. On the other side there is your bloodstream and your immune system. Between them there is a barrier that needs to be tight enough to protect you, but flexible enough to absorb nutrients. When the balance of gut bacteria is disturbed, or when the barrier becomes more permeable than it should be, small amounts of bacterial products and other molecules can cross into the blood more often. Your immune system notices this and responds with more inflammatory signals. Over time, this can support a state of low-grade inflammation throughout the body. That is one reason why diets rich in fiber, diverse plant foods and fermented products, and lower in ultra-processed foods are linked with better markers of inflammation. You do not need a perfect gut. You need a gut that is less irritated and better supported by what you eat and how you live. How inflammaging shows up on the outside. There is no single symptom that proves you are living with inflammaging, but there are patterns that can make us suspicious. Some people notice persistent tiredness that does not match their level of activity. Others feel joint stiffness in the morning, frequent minor aches, or a general sense of heaviness in the body. Skin may look more dull or reactive. Focus and concentration may feel less stable. Doctors sometimes measure markers like high-sensitivity C-reactive protein and other signals in the blood to get a sense of systemic inflammation. These are not perfect, they are only one part of the picture, and they must be interpreted in context. It is important not to diagnose yourself based on one symptom or one number. Many conditions share similar signs. If you are worried, the right path is to discuss your situation with a health professional who can look at your full story, your exam, and your tests together. What we can do here is talk about the general levers that tend to lower this silent fire in many people over time. Food patterns that calm the fire. One of the most powerful tools you have against chronic inflammation is your daily food pattern. The goal is not to find one miracle ingredient. The goal is to build meals that send calming signals more often than irritating ones. This usually means more whole, minimally processed foods and fewer products that come in bright packages with very long ingredient lists. Colorful vegetables and fruits provide fiber and natural compounds that help regulate oxidative stress and inflammation. Sources of omega-3 fats, such as certain fish or algae-based oils, support anti-inflammatory pathways. Spices like turmeric, garlic, ginger, and herbs like rosemary add small, repeated signals that help the body manage stress. On the other side, reducing the load of sugar-sweetened drinks, refined flour products, and unhealthy fats removes some of the sparks that keep the fire going. You do not have to eat perfectly or give up all pleasure. Even shifting one or two key foods each day can, over months and years, change the background pattern. Think less about a short-term diet and more about a long-term anti-inflammatory style of eating that you can actually live with. Lifestyle. Extinguishers: sleep, stress, movement. Food is only one part of the story. Your daily rhythm is another strong lever. Regular physical activity acts like a natural anti-inflammatory signal for many people. When you contract your muscles, they release substances that help regulate immune function and metabolism. This does not require extreme training. A base of walking, some strength work, and movements you enjoy can already shift the message your body receives. Sleep is a time when the brain and body perform many repair processes. Chronic sleep deprivation or very irregular sleep can push inflammatory markers upward and disturb hormones that regulate appetite, energy, and stress. Psychological stress is harder to measure, but when you live in a constant state of internal tension, your body releases hormones and signals that prepare you for threat. If that state becomes the default, those signals can support chronic inflammation. Building small practices, such as regular movement, a simple evening routine, and even a few minutes of breathing or mindfulness, will not remove every problem from your life. But they can help your system spend more time in a mode that supports repair rather than constant alarm.
What medicine can and cannot do. Modern medicine has strong tools for situations where inflammation is very high or linked with specific diseases. In certain conditions, doctors prescribe targeted anti-inflammatory drugs or immune-modifying treatments. These can be life-changing or even life-saving when used for the right person at the right dose for the right reason. But these medicines are not designed for casual use against general aging or the ordinary ups and downs of life. Using strong anti-inflammatory drugs without clear indication can bring serious side effects and may even interfere with the body's normal defense and repair. If you have a diagnosed inflammatory condition, your doctor is the one who guides treatment.
If you do not, your first focus should be on the levers we have discussed: food, sleep, movement, stress, smoking and alcohol, and environmental exposures. Think of medicine as a precise tool for specific problems, not as a blanket solution for inflammaging.
Your personal anti-inflammaging plan. Let us bring this into your everyday life in a simple way. You can think of calming inflammaging in 3 steps. First, remove sparks. This means reducing obvious triggers like heavily processed foods, smoking, excessive alcohol, and very short sleep, starting with the one that feels most realistic to change. Second, strengthen the walls. Support your gut barrier, your blood vessels, and your stress system by eating more whole foods, adding fiber from plants, sleeping more regularly, and moving your body most days of the week. Third, feed the fire brigade.
This means giving your body regular access to nutrients and natural compounds that help manage oxidative stress and inflammation, such as omega-3 fats, colorful plants, and certain herbs and spices. You do not have to change everything at once. Choose one spark to remove and one protective habit to add over the next month. Aging is a long game. Small changes repeated are more powerful than big changes that burn out in 2 weeks. Inflammaging is not a mysterious curse. It is the long-term result of how we eat, move, sleep, and handle stress, layered on top of our genetics and our environment. You cannot control every factor in your life, but you can decide whether your daily routine feeds the fire or helps to calm it down. If this video helped you see that invisible fire more clearly, please give it a like, share it with someone may need this information, and subscribe to XENOVITAS. In the comments, tell me one spark you are willing to work on this month. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.